Okay, in this video there are a few comma mistakes that we're going to look at. If you're reading the first sentence, it says one couple that exemplifies this is Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Collins. Now, you have your subject couple. Let's do blue. Couple is Charlotte and Mr. Collins. They're the predicate nominatives. All right, I know this isn't a grammar lesson, but you need to know where all your things are in order to know whether or not you need a comma in certain places. You should not have a comma separating between the subject and the verb. It doesn't make any sense to put it here, so there is no comma here. One couple that exemplifies this is Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Collins. No comma, straight through. FYI, side note, using this is a vague word. All right, let's look at the second sentence here. After Elizabeth refused Mr. Collins' marriage proposal, comma, he asked Elizabeth's best friend Charlotte to marry him, and she agrees. Okay, if we're looking at this situation, we have two opportunities for commas here. So what we have here is a subordinating word beginning this clause. Okay, after Elizabeth refused Mr. Collins' marriage proposal, comma, yes, this is correct. He asked Elizabeth's best friend Charlotte to marry him. Okay, that's a sentence. Then we have a conjunction here. Here's where the decision comes in. Is there a comma with this conjunction? The only way we can say there is or isn't is if we know that we have a complete sentence before and after the conjunction. All right, so when you're dealing with conjunctions and comma rules, if you have a conjunction and you're deciding on yes or no, the comma before, it depends on whether or not you have a complete sentence before the comma and a complete sentence after the comma. If you have this, yes to the comma, okay, so yes, there'd be a comma here because you have a complete sentence before and after. The other part of that sentence that we looked at and we said right here was a good comma is a subordinate clause, which means subordinate. Oh, I spelled that wrong. A subordinate clause, which means it cannot stand alone. So it needs another full, complete sentence. So you have the comma and then you have the complete sentence here. And then that would be yes to a comma. So subordinate clause first, complete sentence second, yes to the comma. All right, let's look at the last sentence here. In a prior conversation between Elizabeth and Charlotte, okay, so that is not a subordinate clause, but it is an introductory phrase. So we have an intro phrase, which yes needs a comma, and then we have a complete sentence after it. Charlotte states happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. So yes to the comma here. And that these are three situations where you can find how to use commas. Now, a little preference. You do not need the colon in this in-text citation. Colons are for block quotes. They introduce them. In this case, in this case, you would have used a comma to have the introduction here. So that also would have been a comma. Okay, so play this video again if you need to, but this little section of text actually gives you multiple comma usages.